Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Bimal Master. I'm the Chief Mentor for IMS Mumbai, and I welcome you to this special webinar by IMS. Continuing last year's popular initiative by IMS, we are pleased to bring you another season of Management Masterclass, a sneak peek into management pedagogy. In our constant endeavor to impart and enhance our students' knowledge, we have conceptualized these sessions so that the students get a first-hand experience in B-School pedagogy by expert faculty members on different subjects being offered in an MBA course. So the sessions are designed in a way that they're akin to actually attending an introductory B-School session on a particular topic. Right? It will help you get a gist of important subjects and be equipped in making a better selection for your MBA course. We start season 2 of our Management Masterclass series today with a session on marketing strategies and models in marketing communication. The key takeaways from today's session will be, firstly, developing a theoretical understanding of marketing communication. Second, understanding the basic elements of the process and the role of communications in marketing. Third, examining various models of the communication process. And fourthly, understanding the influence of source message and channel factors on communication. Marketing communication, or MarCom as it is also called, are ways by which companies educate, inform, urge, and apprise consumers, either directly or indirectly, about their products, solutions, and brands. MarCom represents the voice of a company and its brands that enable it to have a dialogue and build relationships with consumers. It helps companies to connect their brands with people, places, experiences, events, and emotions. It can even enable companies to showcase how a product works, its use cases, why is it used, who benefits from using them, and its value to the target audience. The session will examine the communication process by introducing you to the fundamentals of communication and examining various models and perspectives of how consumers respond to advertising messages. A basic model of communication developed by Scrum will be presented, which introduces the controllable elements of the communications process: the source, the message, the channel, and the receiver, of course. Right? So the source, message, and channel factors will be discussed, and we will examine the target audience or the receiver and the process by which consumers respond to advertising and other promotional messages. To throw more light on this exciting subject and to present their perspective on the topic, I'm pleased to invite Professor Priyanka Mathur Dhingra, the Associate Dean, SDCC, and faculty member in the marketing domain for IBS in Mumbai. Professor Priyanka is a marketing faculty with 25 years of work experience in industry, training, and teaching. She is currently associated with IBS Business School Mumbai in the capacity of Associate Dean, SDCC, and faculty member in the marketing domain. Her major areas of interest in the field of marketing are advertising, integrated marketing communications, services marketing, and brand management. Professor Priyanka has written a book on marketing management for an IGNOU IILM tie-up and a book for teaching advertising and sales promotions for Wellington Institute of Management Development and Research. She is currently pursuing her PhD from ICFI University in Jaipur. It is wonderful to have you with us today, ma'am. So Professor Priyanka, may I now request you to address our listeners.
Thank you so much, Bimal sir, for that introduction to what we are going to be doing today. I am glad to be addressing students who aspire to do a course in business management. I wish them well for a fabulous career. The time that I have been given today is to talk about marketing communications and strategies. So I will dive right in because it's a wide topic and I would like to cover as many aspects of it as I quickly can. So I have got a set of slides here for the students, which I will shortly put on. What I'm going to be telling all of you today, the students, is how theory is being applied in the industry, some bits of it which are used on a daily basis in MarCom, which is what marketing communications is called in the industry. I bring to you the experience that I have had in the industry. I started my career with media. I used to write with the Indian Express, and then I moved on to advertising. And during my stint in advertising, I was surprised at how much the theory that we used to study in B schools and never really paid attention to is utilized, and models which used to sound so boring, really. But when you see their application, you are stunned at the beauty of how actually management and pure sciences are different that way. So in pure sciences, you create a formula and you apply it, but management works the other way around. So all the successful models have been put into theory by great management thinkers and philosophers. So you will always find that management theories and models are very much applicable and useful in the industry as you enter. Now, since it is a master class on pedagogy of how these courses are taught at the B School, I would like to give you a flavor of that by taking you through the communication process. Now, any of you who have a background in management or even a BCom or at your school level, you might have heard that, the marketing works with a basic marketing mix. And the marketing mix is made up of the 4 Ps, which is product, price, place, promotion. We just learn it like an alphabet and we put it somewhere at the back of our mind. Believe me, guys, these 4 words can be a lifesaver for you when you're really working as a brand manager or an advertising manager soon in the future. And a lot of marketing plans are made around these 4 Ps. So out of these 4 Ps is promotions, which is communications. Now, communications, if you haven't studied it, sometimes people tend to take it lightly. But believe me, good communications and good promotions can make or break a brand. So good communications is about promising what you can deliver, never over promising and under delivering, because that has been the death knell of many great brands. With so many case studies, one which I hope you all remember is Nano, where we had a fabulous product at a great price. And Indians, we are thrifty. We like to buy everything at a great price. So people may put on their jogging shoes or not, but when there is a sale at Big Bazaar, we put on our shoes and we venture in and we are almost like athletes running and picking the stuff. We are thrifty. But a car which was right up to our mark and it was at a great price point, why didn't we buy them? Why don't we see so many of those cars? What happened really? So it's a fabulous case studies of communications going wrong, and I'll try to address some of these things once I take you through the slide. So marketing mix से हम शुरू करते हैं. Marketing mix में we are going to be focusing upon promotions, which is integrated marketing communications or MarCom. And there are a lot of marketing communications models. And it is a beauty to see that, every model has a certain application. So after doing an MBA, a lot of students join institutional marketing, which we call B2B. So in B2B marketing jobs, which are highly paid marketing jobs, you do a lot of personal selling. And in a B2B situation, it is bulk sale, institution sales, and all companies, right from Unilevers to ITC to Procter & Gamble, everybody's, major sales chunk comes from selling to huge segments. So which communication model is going to work there? Every model is not going to be applied. Then if you are a brand manager and you are preparing an ad, in the industry, for everything, there is a return on investment that needs to be calculated. So how do you calculate the return on investment for advertising? Because it is so vague. Either you like the ad or you don't like the ad, but do you really buy a product because you saw an ad last night? So to tell you a fact, I saw the BMW ad last night. And guys, though the ad was fabulous, but no way can I go and buy a BMW today. In fact, teachers, I don't know if you are going to be buying BMWs at all, but we wish that our students can. So I saw the ad. It's beautiful. It is aesthetic. It is spectacular. But can I buy it? So is it fair to relate sales to be a goal to advertising? And otherwise, if not, then how do you measure the return on investment for advertising and communications? So there comes the hierarchy of effects model. And I'll tell you quickly that, when you are working managers, how do you convince your boss and your company to shell out that money for getting a celebrity endorser, to get an influencer, and to create an ad, which actually is a very, very expensive way of promoting, which is advertising. And then, if there is a new product is being launched, then what kind of a communication strategy would you use? In today's world, there are so many information processing or information technology products and gadgets. What kind of communication strategies do you do for those? So this is basically the perspective which I wanted to share with you today. And this is a part of the actual pedagogy which is taught in B schools on communications and marketing communication. So with that built in, I would quickly like to take you through the slides, and I hope that the session is useful to all of you. So I hope the slides are visible to you, and I am also clearly audible and visible.
Yes, ma'am.
So, well, we are talking about strategies and models in marketing communications today. So let us just talk about the nature of communications. So communication has been defined as the passing of information, the exchange of ideas, or the process of establishing a commonness or oneness of thought between a sender and receiver. In this lecture, the communication that we are talking about is business communication. It is advertising communication. It is marketing communication. So the communication process is often very complex, with success depending on many factors, such as the nature of the message, the audience's interpretation, that, what is the perspective that which they are looking at the ad, what is their background, their culture, their understanding, their need, the environment in which it is received, along with the recipient's or the receiver's perception of the source and the medium. So do you trust that source? Do you like that source? Source is the spokesperson or the company from which the message is coming. And the medium, it could be an out-of-home medium, it could be an exhibition, it could be an event, it could be, of course, your broadcast media, or it could be digital marketing. Audience, it also depends on the mood that is being set. Are you watching that particular message in a sports stadium while watching a football match or cricket? Or are you seeing that in an auditorium of your college? So n number of factors make a difference on how a communication is received. So that brings in a level of complexity on how messages are received and interpreted. Now, multiply what I said by 1,000, because when you communicate in an advertising medium or in a communications medium, you are taking the message of the brand to the target audience. The target audience is like two words, but they are lakhs and lakhs of people, or at least thousands of people, each coming with their own perspective, their own need, their own backgrounds, and their own perception. Mark this word perception, because in marketing, perception is reality. So people, behave as per their perception of the message that they have received, a complex psychological process. So let us try to get into this process and learn a little about it. So communication, and that's where the terror lies for marketing managers. Let's look at simple communication. Coca-Cola, a simple word. In Chinese, it sounds, Coca-Cola sounds like bite the wax tadpole. I don't know if it's really a selling point. Nobody would want to bite a tadpole and leave aside a wax tadpole. So they had to change a few letters in Mandarin to make the message like can happy, mouth happy. That is what it actually translates in Chinese, in Mandarin. They had to change it. General Motors launched Nova, a vehicle in North America. It didn't work. There could be many reasons why that brand didn't work in Latin America. But also in Spanish, Nova means won't go. Now, who would buy a car that says it won't go or it's a dead car? Toyota launched its popular MR2 in France, where in their own pronunciation they call it MR2 or Merd, and Merde in French it means crap. So communication is terrifying, and even if we don't look at communications from faraway lands, even within India. Uh, so when I came to Maharashtra, I came to Mumbai. Now it's been 12 years, so now it's home, and I understand and speak the language fairly well. But initially, it used to sound so different to me coming from Rajasthan and Delhi, where my experience was. So communication can be tricky. It is, and then for B school grads or B school aspirants, please remember that getting the language checked is just one small part of your headache being solved. The real issue comes with the message strategy itself, and you need to be accountable to both. You need to be accountable to your clients, to the customers, to the target audience who's receiving the message, and you need to be accountable to your business and to your business managers and whoever holds the purse strings, who are releasing the money for the entire business of communication. Communication is extremely expensive. So let us look at some of these complexities and then the models and strategies that have been devised um, to give it a better success rate. So quickly, a definition: what is marketing communications? So, well, you can read it. I won't waste your time too much on this theory. So it means the means by which a company attempts to inform, persuade, and remind consumers directly or indirectly about the products and brands they sell. So Marcom or marketing communications are spokespersons for the brand. Uh, Let us see how do they build brands. So marketing communications consists of 6 major modes of communication. So please make a note that the world has changed and we are all on a digital platform. This class is happening over a digital platform. So what has changed is that all of these major modes of communications are now being held on a digital platform, but still the 6 major modes remain the way they were. So the 6 major modes of marketing communication, or we call it integrated marketing communication, or a lot of people call it advertising. But for B school aspirants and for students, you should know that advertising is one mode of promotion. Advertising is one of the 6 major modes of communication. Advertising is one out of the promotional toolkit or the promotional mix. So, what are these various kinds of promotional mix elements? So, we have advertising, sales promotion, public relations and publicity, events and experiences, direct marketing, and personal selling. Quickly to take you through the differences and what they mean and how are they different than each other. So advertising is an ATL activity. ATL stands for above the line. Above the line means it is mass media. Advertising is a mass media tool. So through advertising, you can reach the masses. It doesn't allow much segmentation. So advertising can be defined as it's a paid form of mass media where there is an identified sponsor. So it's a paid form of mass media with an identified sponsor. So you see an ad for Coca-Cola, and when you know Coke is advertising, you know that they want you to take a certain action. They want you to consume that bottle or a can of Coke. That is advertising. Then comes sales promotion. Sales promotion is more segmented. Sales promotion is an incentive based activity. So, sales promotions are of 2 types. There are consumer promotions and there are trade promotions. So, consumer promotions are when the incentive to procure the product or the brand goes directly to the consumer. And trade promotions are when the incentive goes to the distribution channel. So consumer promotions, you have all experienced it when you were kids and you used to get a Happy Meal. So along with your burger and that combination, you used to get a toy. Or there were Tazos and these little gifts and toys inside of your chips packets. And even till date, I'm sure you're experiencing it with the one-on-one schemes, with scratch coupons, with premiums, and the lot. So within sales promotion, consumer promotion is when the incentive goes to the consumer. Trade promotion is when the incentive goes to the channel partner. So it is wholesaler, dealer, distributor, and the sellers. These two combine to make the sales promotion. So that is another form of marketing communications. Then there is public relations and publicity. So public relations is about image management, and companies have a PR division. They have experts who work within the PR cell. So they are lobbyists and they maintain relations with stakeholders and carry the message of the brand to the people who matter. Publicity is closely related to public relations, but it is slightly different. That publicity division of an organization engages with the press, with journalists and editors, and gives them press notes and information about the brand. And then the journalists and the editorial and the newspapers have a right to publish what they think is appropriate. So they needn't really publish everything which is given by the company in terms of a press note, but they publish as to what their research and what their information says. That is publicity, and this is how it's different than public relations. Then we have events and experiences. There is exhibitions. There are sports tournaments. There are all kinds of shows which are put up, trade shows, fashion events, book exhibitions, where brands come and promote themselves and use that medium to take the message of the brand ahead. Then there is direct marketing and personal selling. Again, they sound very similar, but they have a vital difference. Direct marketing is database driven. Direct marketing arises from CRM, which is customer relationship management. So direct marketing, the correct definition is when a set of consumers are contacted because their name pops up in a data mining activity based on certain attributes that the company is looking at. So the company might be looking at people with high net worth, or the company could be looking at people in a certain geographical area, or a company might be looking at people who've made a certain amount of purchase in the past 2 months, 3 months, 5 months. So then when the company contacts these consumers, it is called direct marketing. Personal selling is when there is a one-on-one contact made between the company and the customer, and this one-on-one contact can be, of course, through a face-to-face meeting. It could be on telephone, it could be on Zoom like we are talking today. So that is personal selling. And direct marketing also borrows a lot from personal selling. So you do personal selling because somebody's name has popped up in a direct marketing data mining exercise. So this was a bit background I wanted to build with you before I take you to the strategies. So this is what marketing communications is made of. So when we talk about MarCom and its strategies and the models, we should first know what MarCom entails. So every brand contact delivers an impression that can strengthen or weaken a consumer's view of the company, and this is called brand exposure. These contacts are also called moments of truth. Whenever the brand interacts with its consumer, it could be at a physical store, it could be at an online situation, it could be when an influencer comes and talks about the brand, it could be at the end of the queue at the billing counter. So everywhere at an out-of-home activity, or you see that the brand is sponsoring an event. So wherever the brand comes in touch with the consumer, there is brand exposure, and which is also called the moment of truth. And there is a whole lot of work going on. People are doing their PhDs on moment of truth marketing. So quickly, here are all the tools of marketing communications, which are advertising, sales promotions, events and experiences, public relations and publicity, personal selling, direct marketing, and they impact a very, very important concept in marketing, which is called brand equity. So I'll possibly take you through brand equity on another class. for now, let us just understand that brand equity is everything which is a combination of brand awareness, brand image, brand responses, brand relationships, leading to brand loyalty and longevity of the brand and preference for the brand. Okay, so all of these tools of marketing communications take you towards a high brand equity, which is what each brand really wants. Okay. We need to also understand that there is a basic model of communication. I'm sure you might have come across this basic model of communication during your graduation, even around 11th or 12th standard. But it is essential when we are doing communication strategy because there is a source that wants to give the information. So the source, the sender of communication is the person, the organization, or the brand that has information to share with another group. Now, the receiver's perception of the source. So we are talking about source, and source credibility really matters. And source credibility, a big part of what we study in marketing. And the receiver's perception. So perception, like I said, is more important than reality in marketing. So the receiver's perception of the source influences the manner in which the communication is received, interpreted, and responded. Once the source gives the message, how do they give the message? They encode it. What is encoding? Encoding is the process of putting through thoughts, ideas, and information into a symbolic form to communicate a message. The sender's goal is to encode the message in such a manner so as to ensure that it would be understood by the receiver or decoded by the receiver. And they have to take care that there is this, if you can see that little picture at, on the top of my slide, there is something which is called sender's field of experience and receiver's field of experience, because the sender and receiver, we are dealing with lakhs of people, we are dealing with people in different geographies, we are dealing with people trying to sell our product to people who live in different continents. So you've got brands like IKEA who are selling in India, IKEA sells in China, we've got Indian brands going abroad, ITC, Marico, all selling all across the world. So the sender's field of experience and the receiver's field of experience are very different. So encoding is the process where you try to create a message such that your message reaches the receiver's field of experience. So the message, the encoding process leads to the development of a message that contains the information or meaning the source or sender hopes to convey. So advertising messages range from simply words or copy, which is copy content, that will be read or heard as a radio message, to the expensive production of elaborate television commercials with great deal of visual impact and imagery. So that is how the message comes across. Then we come to the channel of communication. The channel is the method or medium by which the communication travels from the source or the sender to the receiver. And there are personal channels and professional channels. The receiver is the person for whom the sender intends the message to reach. They are generally the target audiences for whom the promotional program is devised. Decoding is the process where the transformation or interpretation of the sender's message is done, and it is heavily influenced by the receiver's frame of reference or their field of experience. So effective communication is more likely when common ground or shared meaning or understanding exists or has been established between the sender and receiver, and that is the challenge of advertising and marketing communications. There is also an element or a definition or a term called noise, which communication professionals should be aware of and they should take care of it. So noise is not just the noise that you hear in the decibel terms, that a loud noise distracts you. Of course, that is noise also. But noise is anything that takes away from the sender's message to go to the receiver. So it could be noise, which could be any error which happens during encoding, transmission, or decoding of the message. It can also occur because there is a lack of common ground or lack of overlap between the field of experience of the sender and the receiver. Last is the response. The response refers to the reaction the receiver has after seeing, hearing, or reading the message. These responses can range from non-observable actions, such as storing information in memory, or taking immediate action, such as ordering the product and, well, sales. So response could also be plain feedback, which the consumer gives back to the company. What is that feedback? Sometimes the feedback is in terms of actual feedback forms, which we all end up filling. Other times, the feedback could be, well, not buying the product and not responding. Even that is a feedback which goes back to the brand. So this was the basic model of communication. I'm hurriedly taking you through this because I want to take you to the communication strategy. Coming to our topic now. So there are different models facilitating communication objective setting. The most important aspect of developing effective communication programs involves understanding the response process the receiver may go through in moving towards a specific behavior. What are these specific behaviors? Is purchase that specific behavior? Is that what we think about communication strategies? Is communication strategies or marketing communication strategies all about sales? So this clarity a budding manager should have, that what is the end goal of advertising? What is the objective of the communication activity? Is it sales? If it is sales, then, well, what are we doing this chapter for? And if there is something other than sales, then what are those objectives? And if it is sales, so doesn't it look counterindicative to you that, you see an ad, but you necessarily don't go and purchase the brand, especially if it is a luxury brand or a high net worth or an expensive brand. So you yourself don't end up buying products that you see the ads for. Then what is the basis for, calculating the bang on the buck? How do you calculate the return on investment if sales is not the objective? Then what is the objective? So believe me, guys, that when a business is spending even a penny, in businesses, return on investment is a basic fundamental on which any expenditure is done. So when you're advertising expensively, Mr. Bachchan or a Ranbir Kapoor or your Virat Kohli or Mahendra Singh Dhoni, इनके एंडोर्समेंट कॉस्ट crores में होते हैं. मतलब ad तो बाद में बनेगा. This endorsement, the very, when a celebrity comes, it's already going to charge the brand crores of rupees. So how do you justify the expenditure on advertising if there is no way of calculating whether that expense worked or not? Because sales, how do sales happen? Sales happen for a lot of reasons. Why do I buy? Okay, so I go to buy LG washing machine. I've thought about it. I'm a marketing faculty. I've worked in communications and marketing. I have looked at the ads. I've talked to word of mouth, talked to people, put it on mouthshut.com, got reviews from everybody, and I decided that, okay, I'm going to buy LG washing machine. Do you know what really happens when I go to buy the machine? I step into, in Mumbai, where do I step into? A Croma or a Kohinoor or any of these electronic stores. And there is this young salesperson who's on the aisle. And, he courteously shows me all the washing machines and the options. And he tells me that, LG is a very good brand. Good choice, ma'am. And then dheere se he will tell me that, ma'am, if you haven't really finalized, would you like to look at an IFB? And I will say, why? He will say that, ma'am, IFB ka after sales zyada acha hai. What do you think I will do? Despite all great ads by LG, do you think I'll buy an LG unless I'm really set about it, which most consumers are not? And this is an actual thing which happened. I ended up buying IFB because he said there's a better after-sales service, though I know that particular outlet might be getting a good deal from IFB to push as many products as possible. So what did I think? IFB is not a bad brand either. And if he's saying after sales, after all, it's an electronic product, I am going to need some bit of servicing. So I immediately changed. So now tell me that, is it fair to attribute sales to advertising? Do we buy because of advertising? If we don't, then why do we advertise at all? Then what is this entire business at all? Then it is all should all about be about sales promotions. So with all those questions that I'm bringing to your attention, to your notice, I want you to think about it, and then let us look at the response hierarchy models, that what has the business done about it, and how is communication strategies and model, how are they formulated? So guys, there are 4 response hierarchies, 4 basic response hierarchies. What the response hierarchies tell you is that there are 4 different models and strategies. The response hierarchies say that the consumer, before they reach the last bit of the hierarchical process, the last one, if you see, if it starts from attention, then it goes to action, which is purchase. If it goes from awareness, it goes to purchase. If it goes from awareness, again, it goes to adoption. If it goes from presentation, it goes to behavior. What are these? They look so alike. Believe me, people, that this is a lifesaver theory when you're actually working as a brand manager or when you are learning this in a B school. So the important aspect of developing effective communications involves having an understanding of the response process. So all of these response models can actually be used for goal setting. That, what is the objective of the advertising message? Let me tell you how that works. Let us look at the first model on your screens, the AIDA model, AIDA. AIDA stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. Now, psychologically, there are 3 stages on which we think, on which our psychology is formed. They are the cognitive stage, affective stage, and behavioral stage. So the cognitive stage is when we recognize that there is a new product, or there is a product that you might be interested in, or you are in the need of buying a washing machine or a shampoo, or the new Apple iPhone 13, anything. So you take recognition, that is the cognitive stage. Affective stages, when the brand makes an impact on your thinking, you start looking for more information, you are more keenly attuned to what the brand is saying. Behavioral is when you've done your thinking process and you actually take the action, which could be purchase. AIDA stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. So this represents the AIDA model, that you get the attention of the consumer, you build interest, you make them desire the brand, and you take action by closing the deal, which is sales. In this particular model, it is sales. Now, AIDA is utilized or should be utilized in a personal selling condition, in a personal selling process. So in the industry, AIDA model is used when a salesperson takes a customer through in the personal selling process. The action stage in AIDA model involves getting the customers to make a purchase commitment and close the sales. Because in a personal selling situation, that closing the sales is the most crucial part of the deal. One is because lots of money, mostly it is in B2B situation, institutional selling situations. So attention, interest, desire, and action are the 4 stages of the AIDA model. And that is also how the personal selling situation and communication is assessed as a failure or a success. That if it's the first stage, then has the consumer got the interest? If it is interest and desire, then they should be in the affective stage. Now the salesperson should be able to create action, which is the behavioral stage. Another model among the traditional response hierarchies is the hierarchy of effects model. This IDA and hierarchy of effects are the most commonly used models in advertising. Hierarchy of effects के अंदर जो steps हैं, they are awareness, knowledge, liking, preference, conviction, and purchase. Again, you can see that they are broken into cognitive, affective, and behavioral psychological stages. Now, this is a very popular model which was made by Robert Lavage and Gary Steiner. And this model is often used as a setting advertising objectives. So now if you look at an ad, so before even the ad is released, the company does a segment analysis that, in what stage are the consumers? Are they well aware of the brand? Then are they knowledgeable? If they're knowledgeable, are they liking? If they're liking the brand, then are you working towards a purchase? So objective of your ad and the success of your ad will not be whether the brand is purchased. No, the success of your ad is what was the objective? Was it knowledge, liking, preference, action, conviction? What is it that the brand manager or the communication team is trying to achieve? So communication objectives are set using the hierarchy of effects model in a regular advertising environment. I hope that it's getting clearer to you that how is sales always not an appropriate objective to measure the return, to calculate your return on investment. Then there is an innovation adoption model where you can see the stages: awareness, interest, evaluation, trial, and adoption. This model represents the stages the consumer passes through in adopting a new product or service, suggesting that free trials, your samples, your pilots have an important role to play, because the consumer is going to evaluate the utility of the brand, and they are going to do a trial before they get into an adoption, and that is how you justify the cost on the freebies that you're going to be giving. So that is your innovation adoption model. The last one, but which is the most practiced in the industry today, is when you're selling electronic products, which is information processing model. So here the first stage is presentation, attention, comprehension, yielding, retention, and behavior. So this was developed by William McGuire. Now, if you look at the stages of this model, they're very similar to the hierarchy of effects model. What is different is retention. What does retention mean? So retention, or the receiver's ability to retain that portion of the comprehended information that he or she accepts as valid or relevant, and they will sort of retain that information when they make the purchase event. So this is about the various models. I will now tell you as to how they are utilized. So the hierarchy of effects models, these hierarchy, all of them are called hierarchy models. Why are they called hierarchy models? Because the previous stage has to be completed before you next to them. So they are linear. They are linear models. They are called hierarchical models. So the hierarchy models are useful to promotional planners from several perspectives. They delineate the series of steps or stages potential purchasers often must take when moving through one state from the state of no awareness to the point where they are ready to purchase. So the hierarchy models can also be useful as intermediate measures of communication effectiveness. So this is where you justify your return on investment. So knowing where potential buyers are with respect to the various stages of the hierarchy helps the marketers know the specific communications task that must be performed. So I will show you one model. That is all that our time is going to permit us today. Okay, so I'm showing you one model quickly. This is called the elaboration likelihood model. In fact, this is the model which is most practiced in the industry. So elaboration likelihood model, taking from the theory of communications and the hierarchy of effects model, says that when the consumers receive a message an advertising message. They process it in two ways. There are two basic processes or routes of persuasion, and persuasion is what Marcom is all about. So there are two basic processes or routes to persuasion, which are based on motivation, that is number one, and ability to process the message, number two. So under the central route to persuasion, the receiver is viewed as a very active and involved participant. So agar aapko lagta hai, if you feel that your consumer is going to be very active and they are going to be an involved participant in the communication process, and whose ability and motivation to attend, comprehend, and evaluate a message is very high, then you say that your consumer is taking the central route, and the central route communication strategies are different. Under another route is, so I said there are two routes, one is central, one is peripheral. Under the peripheral route of persuasion, the receiver is viewed or perceived or thought of as lacking motivation or ability to process information and is not likely to engage in detailed cognitive processing. So then how do you create your message? If you think that, okay, you are selling butter, you are selling flavored milk, you are selling cold cream, naturally the communication strategies are going to be very different than if you are selling a high-end laptop, or you're selling a car, or you're selling real estate. So communication strategies are going to be different. So are you going to be using the central route, or are you going to be using the peripheral route? So let us go further down. So elaboration likelihood model, which is, there are multiple models, guys. In a 1 hour class, I just broadly brought to you the communication models, the hierarchy models, and this one model, which is elaboration likelihood model. So it focuses on the way consumers respond to persuasive messages based on the amount and nature of elaboration, which is how much more information they are going to be needing or processing of information. Routes to attitude change. You are persuading them. You're trying to change their attitude towards your brand, towards, making their attitude favorable towards you. You are using the central route or the peripheral route. Central route is the ability and motivation to process a message. When the ability is high, they are highly motivated and they need the information. Peripheral route is when the ability and motivation to process a message is low. So it is your FMCG products, your spontaneous purchase products. This is the elaboration likelihood model. So in elaboration likelihood model, what happens is that you use something which is called as a VIP. I'm sure you're surprised at the term VIP. It is not very important person. It is, I don't think we have time for videos. Possibly I'll leave the links with your faculty, with moderator sir, and he can show you the videos later. So the VIP stands for visual image personality. Now let us look at a few pictures of a few brands. Like let's look at Kellogg's, and then there is the tiger, which is the mascot. You got Energizer, the batteries, who have the famous Energizer bunny. These are low involvement products, and VIP is visual image personalities, or India we call these mascots. So let's look at Amul Butter, has got the famous Amul girl, and that is a VIP or the mascot, and these are all peripheral routes. So this is, you've got Pillsbury, you've got the Doughboy, you've got Quaker Oats, you've got KFC, you've got the Indian Maharaja. These are all low involvement products, and the mascot gives you that peripheral route. Or celebrity endorsers can be peripheral cues. So a lot of times, celebrities are used nowadays, influencers are used to provide those peripheral routes for low involvement product categories. But for real estate, but for your expensive electronic items, but for making home purchases, you still take the central route, where the substance or the content or the body copy of your ad makes the difference to the purchase process. So taking care of the time that we have, that is what I had got for you today. And I have got a few interesting references if some of you would like to go through them. So there are articles which are, how advertising works and what do we really know. So it provides an excellent summary of the response hierarchy models. It is one of the most favorite papers which I keep referring to. Very simply written. I think if you are interested in communications or branding as a subject or as a career in your future, you could refer to these. Then there is Wheel Baker's point of view. Does advertising cause a hierarchy effects? And he challenges it. And its reply is given by Thomas E. Berry, which he held a defense. So interesting papers will tell you a lot about the entire process of communications in the this area of Marcom. I always find this saying by Aristotle very relevant, especially for advertising. The whole is more than the sum of its parts. So, the sum of its parts. So you do advertising, you do personal selling, you do publicity and PR, you do sales promotions, and but the whole is actually a lot more than the parts put together, because they change the attitude of the consumer. And this business marketing communication is running these big businesses. So I'll wrap up at that bit about the topic which I wanted to bring to your attention today, which was on marketing communications. I hope that I could reach to you. I could give you a flavor of what really happens in a B school in a communications class. Had we more time, or maybe when we connect at another platform, another time, I would like to show you these really interesting videos and also share on the real life or a slice of life of how an advertising professional really works. Before I close the session, I would just like to tell you about there is the IBSAT national mock test, which is being organized, and the registrations are on for this process. And last few days are left, as you can see on the slide. And for the mock test, the ones who win, there are some nice prizes. So the first prize is 10,000 rupees, and for others, there's 2,000. So I don't know what the youngsters are going to do with that money, but well, why not throw a party for all your faculty members at IMS and celebrate in case you do get it. And more details are given on this slide. So you can interact with us online by going to any of these pages, or you could go to ibsindia.org/admissions. There are others. You could click a picture of this slide in case somebody is interested, and you can get in touch with us. And with this, Bimal sir, that's all from my end today. So wishing the very best to all the students who attended today.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Priyanka.